Hi, Ipsita. Good morning. Okay, let's start. In last class, we have been talking about CloudFront, right? Which is content distribution network, and we know how it works. There is one thing. Let me delete it. Amazon SNS. So, are we discussing about Amazon SNS? Uh, no. Right. Okay. Yeah, we talked about Amazon SNS while talking about CloudWatch, right? And then we have ended session while discussing about CloudFront. Okay. CloudFront. CloudFront is content delivery network, and here why we need CloudFront, why we need CDNs. Why? Because to increase the availability of web application or servers, and also to decrease latency, increase performance, we need this CloudFront, especially when the traffic, the load is coming to server from different locations. We need CDN, and AWS calls this CDN as CloudFront. We discussed this, right? Uh, Suppose if you take a news channel, and this news channel is based out of Japan, say for example, and some Olympic related news has posted there. Some Indian guy has won Olympic medal, something like that. And now most of the traffic hits their servers is from India, and their servers are actually in Japan AWS region. And to handle this huge traffic, obviously there will be latency delays because of faraway region. Request has to be is coming from the faraway region, and that is one thing. And also this ingress and egress traffic charges, that is one more thing. And to avoid this, to optimize charges and also to increase the performance, to increase the availability of the web application, what web applications will do is they'll opt for CDN, content delivery networks, which are distributed worldwide. These are hardware as well as software, we can say, which stores a piece of data in our servers, and it will deliver to the users from CDN itself, from CloudFront itself. Say from India, traffic is going to Tokyo servers or Japan servers. Only the first request will go from CDN to server, actual server. So let us put it in this presentation. Okay, this is what we are talking. This is say EC2 server, or it can also be S3 bucket, because S3 bucket we know it can host static websites and also content we make some content available to users directly from S3 bucket itself. So S3 bucket. And there will be load balancers on top of this S3 EC2 servers. Elastic load balancers. And if these are servers and this S3 bucket is enabled with static web hosting, that means let's say S3 bucket. And see, users can send requests. Send requests to S3 bucket and get the HTML web pages, images, or videos from S3 bucket directly. Or with the help of EC2 servers, they send requests to Elastic Load Balancer, which distributes traffic equally among the EC2 servers. And we know that, and these EC2 servers will handle the request and uh, give the response back. It can be HTML web page again, image or video in our use case. Right. So now if this traffic is coming from far away region, say this EC2 servers, this S3 bucket, everything, or in Tokyo region. But the traffic is coming from now the request has to reach EC2 servers which are actually located in Tokyo region. And same, even S3 is global service, it's globally accessible through using internet, but still the actual S3 region is Tokyo, right? And when traffic is high, if it is one or two requests or few requests, it's fine. But if it's what if the traffic is so high coming from this region, then obviously there will be latency issues, performance issues with the server, because the response has to go all along from Tokyo to India. That is one reason. Bandwidth cost, or we say egress ingress costs. AWS will charge this egress ingress costs. That is one thing. And also it's not an like better solution to make EC2 servers to handle all the requests of coming from various different regions. So what we will do, we will use CDNs, and these CDNs will be all over the world. They are called as content delivery networks. They are distributed networks. They will be in various regions all around the world. And in India also, in nearer to India or within the any Indian region, Mumbai or any other region, there will be a CDN. Now, if you opt for this CDN network in AWS, it's called as CloudFront. If you have attached your EC2 servers with the CDN network, or if you have attached your S3 bucket with CDN network, then what happens is AWS uh, calculates and finds out the nearest CDN. The origin of request is coming, the origin of request is India. So it will send the traffic to nearest CloudFront distribution, nearest CloudFront network. And say nearest CloudFront network is Mumbai here. So there will be CloudFront in Singapore. There will be CloudFront in other regions all over the world. They say that across 200 plus regions, this CloudFront is available. So like this, all over the world, CloudFront distributions, CloudFront will be there, CloudFront networks. Now we have attached our EC2 servers to CloudFront, and which CloudFront? We have opted for CloudFront distribution. So we have attached EC2 with CloudFront distribution. S3 we have attached with CloudFront distribution. Now, if it is coming from India, requests are coming from India, then first they will hit CloudFront. Why? Because we have opted for CloudFront. And then CloudFront, which is attached to particular S3 bucket or EC2 instances, accordingly it will route the traffic. And this happens only for the first request. After that, your CloudFront will cache that static files. It can be image, it can be HTML web pages or video data in its cache memory. And there onwards, the second, third, and n number of requests coming from this Indian region will be directed to CloudFront, and CloudFront will send response back from here itself because it has cached the data of EC2 server or S3 bucket in its memory. So this is the advantage of CloudFront. Now the response should need not travel from Tokyo to India, or request it need not go from India to Tokyo. So CloudFront, which is there in Mumbai itself, Mumbai region, will serve to that request. Suppose if traffic coming from Singapore and we have opted for CloudFront. So now what Amazon will do, it will direct traffic to CloudFront of Singapore region, and now this thing happens. For the first request, CloudFront will direct the traffic to EC2 servers, that is to Elastic Load Balancer or S3 if content is there in S3. And after that, CloudFront will cache it in its memory, and there onwards, the second request onwards, CloudFront will serve to the requests. So this is the advantage of CloudFront. And let's go and create a CloudFront distribution. Create distribution. origin domain name. They are asking. So it's still loading. We don't have load balancers. If you have EC2 servers and load balancer, we can give load balancers. Media store containers for streaming video, and media package containers same. For videos, we have this media store container and media package container. So these things they have added a like new addition, we can say. Previously it was not there. They used to have an another option for video streaming. They used to maintain two options for cloud front. One is for static S3 and EC2 you can use in static, and for media data they you have to use another option in CloudFront. But now they have merged all the things. This is a new they have made little changes to this portal. So here you can choose either S3 or Elastic Load Balancers if we have our EC2 servers, media store containers and media package containers. If you are streaming videos, see OTTs, Netflix, these kind of OTTs. So where their data is there, is getting streamed from. Obviously, it may be from S3 bucket or from media store container or media package container, if because they publicly announced that they are using AWS. So they might be using S3 or media container or media package container and CDN. So with this CDN, uh, since they are globally available, so when people request particular thing, so first it hits CDN and then uh, it goes to the particular S3 bucket or media container or media package container. Okay. And if you observe also, if you're searching for anything, let's say Amazon, let's say 360 digit MG. Okay, sometimes here I didn't got anything. See here, you can see where traffic is getting routed. See HTTPS webinar. So this here it's not hitting cloud CDN. Maybe because of the same region. Sometimes we see here, see HTTPS 360digitmg.com. Sometimes instead of the actual URL, you can see the name with the CDN or something like that. So that means you are sending your request, you are hitting CDN, Content Delivery Network, and from there your traffic will go to servers or buckets like S3 if it is AWS. And now coming back, we are creating a distribution, CloudFront distribution. The CDNs in AWS, they call them as CloudFront. And these CloudFront networks use edge locations. We already discussed that, but once again, let's go to global infrastructure. 230 plus points of presence, 218 plus edge locations, and 12 regional edge caches. So what is why AWS maintains all these things apart from regions and availability zones? You cannot make use of creating servers, deploying services in these points of presence or edge locations. They are for CloudFront. Edge locations, point of presence, and these regional edge caches. These are for CloudFront and they are globally available. So, right, CDN. If you are opting for CDN, means you are opting for entire this 230 plus points of presence, and AWS will check according to the origin of request, it will calculate and assign CDN or CloudFront. So let's go to CloudFront, and I'm choosing this S3 bucket, and it's in some US East to Amazon region. US East 2 means Ohio. It's in Ohio region. And then origin path, if you want to mention, we can mention, let's say index.html, and enter the name of this origin. It will automatically get filled when you give the origin domain name. And we already discussed these options. OAI means origin access identity. If you want your S3 bucket, S3 bucket is origin, right? If you want people directly access your S3 bucket, allow it along with CDN. So where it will be helpful is, suppose CDN you have to pay for CloudFront also. At the end of the day, uh, how many requests are hitting your CloudFront distribution, based on that you have to pay bill for AWS. So what you can do, if you are confident that your S3 bucket is secured, it's fine. Then what you can do is, you can expose your origin S3 bucket itself to local or nearer regions. Say suppose server is in Ohio, S3 bucket is in Ohio in this case. So for Ohio region and regions nearer to this Ohio, I can give my S3 bucket URL. I can use my S3 bucket URL directly. And for traffic coming from distant regions, I'll use CloudFront. So if you want to do mix of both, then don't disable origin access identity. That means bucket must allow public access simply. If you are particular that your S3 bucket origin, you want to secure it, you don't want to expose the origin of the content. It can be S3 or EC2. If it is EC2, then in that case, load balancers. You don't want to expose, then you can restrict access to the bucket directly. So any request from the public internet cannot reach S3 bucket directly. All the request has to go through CloudFront only. So we are hiding S3 bucket here. Only request has go to CloudFront and then to S3 bucket. Then use OAI, Origin Access Identity. This one. And here they are asking you to create a new OA, and again this is also a new new thing they have added. It's nothing, just you have to say create new origin access identity, create. That's it. And now in S3 bucket, what we are doing, we don't want S3 bucket to serve public traffic. Any traffic coming from the public internet, S3 bucket should deny it, and it should only serve, it should only send image or HTML or video, any audio, anything, any object which is there through CloudFront. So we already discussed about bucket policies. So we have to restrict public access through the bucket policy. And here, from here itself, we can do that just with this one option is update the bucket policy. We need not to go and update bucket policy manually. When you choose this as update bucket policy, it will automatically create one policy and put it in the S3 bucket policy, assign that bucket policy to S3. So if not, then you can update your own bucket policy. So let's say yes, update the bucket policy. Enable origin shield for that additional caching layer. So these CDNs also will be busy sometimes, and you want the user request to hit CDN. Um, this enable origin shield will add that additional caching layer too, and additional settings, the connection attempts, connection timeout, response timeout. So all these things we know. Keep alive timeout. So CloudFront maintains ideal connection with origin. How like in our case it says 3 bucket. Its default is 5. So we already discussed what are connection attempts, timeout, etc. And path pattern. Let us put it as default. We are not compress objects automatically. Yes, by default it's yes. So let us keep it like that only. And protocols supported are both HTTP, HTTPS, and HTTP methods. Restrict viewer access. Uh, if you want to use the only signed URLs, then you can restrict viewer access. Only certain signed URLs are allowed. Then you can restrict viewer access, so public internet cannot use this CDN. Only signed URLs, registered URLs with CloudFront can use this distribution. And this is also this cache policy is also a new feature. The default one is caching optimized, and we have other thing caching disabled, caching optimized for uncompressed objects, some elemental media package amplify all these things. Okay, sorry. So you can create your own policy. Otherwise, caching optimized is already there. And then we have amplify. Amplify means for more performance. And this elemental media package, this cache policy is for video streaming. And caching optimized. So the caching optimized is to calculate effectively, calculate the nearest CDN and assign. So all these things. So we can create our own policy too. So these means you have to give name, descriptions. TTL stands for time to live. Time to live means our CDN is caching the data. Is it permanently will be there? Whatever data, it can be image or a HTML web page, video. So it is cached. It is cached at CDN, CloudFront Network. How much time? So you can configure. That is called time to live. How much time it will be there in the CDN. So after that, it will delete the content, and the next day again it will cache the new content. So you can put headers, query strings, cookies too here, and you can create your own cache policy. Let's go. Say caching optimized. If you look into this caching optimized, TTL is 1 second, and maximum TTL is this, and this is a default TTL. Cache settings none, cookies none, query settings none. If you want to add all these things, you can create your own policy. And this is compression support. We need not bother about this. By default, AWS maintains this. It's a AWS managed service. Compressing your object, compressing the data. So let's go to CloudFront. Okay, I think I have to go to distribution and create a new one from the starting. Let's choose S3 bucket. path optional, we will leave it. I want to use this one. I want to restrict access to my bucket, direct access to the bucket. So yes, update the bucket policy. Rest of the thing we are keeping as is. Here we can use WAF. For WAF is web access firewall. It's a firewall for web. We don't have a WAF. We will talk about that later. And here price class. You can decide here which CDN you want. Do you want all edge locations? And they say it's for best performance. Do you want to use it in only North America and Europe, or use in North America, Europe, Asia, Middle East, and Africa? So where your S3 or where your EC2 servers are located, based on that, or based on your analysis, you know from which regions you are getting the traffic. Based on that also, you can optimize your price by choosing these price classes. For best performance, if it is all over the world, it applies to any region. So let's keep it as a use all edge locations for now. And then CNAME, all these things we will get to know when we are talking about Route 53. Okay, standard logging IPv6. Let us create distribution. It's deploying, and if you see origins are there, S3 is origin. At this point, if you want to add more origins, yes, we can. We can create an origin group here. Behaviors. You can see this behavior, its precedence is 0, and it is path pattern is default. So by default, this is the origin. This is a default origin. When any request comes to CDN, by default, it will send to this origin S3 bucket. And protocol is HTTP and HTTPS, and we know this catch policy name, origin request policy name. And suppose if there is any error, if you have deleted some file in S3, something like that, if any error occurs, if that file is not there in CDN, if file not found error is there, in such cases, you can create a behavior path pattern, or for error files, image files, or for video files. My regular, the default origin is S3, but when path pattern is image or any MP4, if it is video, then I can add other origin. Same like our application load balancer. How we have done that path based routing, same thing in CDN 2. So if path pattern is slash images, then we have only this option. So only this option is there. I can also choose other buckets. Maybe images is not there in that other buckets. So you can choose some other origin other than the default origin. You can use some other origin. So when path pattern is slash images or slash MP4, something like that, based on that path, if you want to route to other origins, yes, we can do that. And rest of the things are same. That is behavior. And also error pages. When error is coming, you can create some custom error page. So select the error code. If it is bad request, forbidden, not found, then enter the error caching minimum TTL. Customize error response. You can create a HTML page and use here. A response page path you can use here. Say suppose your server is under maintenance, something like that. Rather than showing that 404 not found error in the browser, you can create one HTML page saying that we are under maintenance. Get back to us after 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So such kind of response pages we can create and put that path here. So this is error response. Geographic restrictions. Sometimes we can block some countries or allow only certain countries to reach this content delivery networks. Suppose if that web page is written in some Spanish, then you can allow it only to certain countries, not all the countries. Same thing, countries will have policies. Suppose you have some sensitive data in your website, um, so you can block those web pages in some countries using here in CDN. And then what if I want to delete something? See, we took an example of this news channel, right? Say, for example, this news channel has published some wrong news. So it's not a right one, but somehow they got information and they have published that news. And now people are accessing that news via CDNs like this. Say suppose they have that news in the S3 bucket with images, everything, that HTML page is there in the S3 bucket. And now people are accessing already that fake news. And this news channel guys realize that it is a fake news. They have published a fake news. Now they have to immediately remove it. What they'll do, they'll go to S3 bucket and they'll remove it. But it's not done. Why? Because we are using CloudFront. What CloudFront does, it will cache that particular data in its memory. And these CloudFronts are all over the world. Even though if you delete object here, they are already cached in CloudFront. So you should also delete in CloudFront. First, we should delete in the CloudFront and then in the S3 bucket. So the immediate action should be taken here in the CloudFront. In such cases, invalidations. Invalidations will be helpful to remove objects from the CloudFront cache. Create invalidation. If you want to remove an item, remove. Give a name, path, etc. of that image or any other object. If it is S3 bucket or if it is EC2, give that EC2 object name as well as the path, ELB path, load balancer path, and remove it. And invalidations are expensive. So there is charge for invalidations. If you want to remove anything from the cache, there is some charge for that. And tags, we know what tags. You can add a key value pairs to give some more data about the service. Now let's go to CloudFront and see. Yes, it is enabled and we got a domain name. And using this domain name, we can reach S3 bucket now because origin is S3 bucket. You can also put elastic load balancers and media containers too. I'll go to my S3 first. And here I have to show this bucket policy. Under permissions, this particular bucket is public. We have disabled this block all public access, and then bucket policy. And I have not updated this bucket policy while creating CDN. CDN has added this bucket policy. If you look into this, what it's about, it's allowing all users. Principal means for whom this policy applies to. So here, if you want to give access to certain users only, then give that principal ARN, meaning I am. So if I want to assign this bucket access to this user, so what I can do is copy ARN, copy ARN of the user, put it in the principal. So then all these actions apply to only that user. So here this policy is updated by CDN. That means obviously principal should be everything. We are not putting any certain user here. It's a apply for everyone and everything also. It's coming from the internet. So principal action, all actions on the S3 bucket, get, put, delete, all actions. We are giving all permissions of this resource. This is my bucket name. And when we are providing this, if string equals to this one VPC endpoint, so it also have created VPC endpoint. So using that VPC endpoint, CloudFront is accessing S3 bucket. And then we have second thing, allow this thing. So remember this thing, while creating CloudFront, it asks to create OAI, origin access identifier. So this is that origin access identifier. If you remember CloudFront, this is ARN of CloudFront, and also we have created OAI, origin access identifier. Origin domain name. So I think it will be available only once. You have to keep it safe, that origin access identifier. And we are using that in our S3 bucket. So this one ARN CloudFront access identity, origin access identity. And then action, we are getting objects from S3. And then allow, this is CDN again. CDN origin access identity. Why? Because I have deleted one CDN. For that CDN also I have assigned the same S3 bucket. With this one as my previous CDN. Otherwise there will be only one. This is the new CDN. if you remember at the starting of the class, I have deleted one CDN. I have used this same S3 bucket with that older CDN also. So this origin access identity belongs to that old CDN which I have deleted, and this one, the new CDN or CloudFront distribution which we have created. So this is the origin access identity of new one. Otherwise, there will be only this segment and this segment for you. If you're trying, when you try this, you can see only on two things. This will not be there. Okay, that is a bucket policy. And we should also talk about this CORS, cross origin resource sharing. And this will be helpful when traffic is coming from what we say from other web pages. It's not, if traffic is not coming directly from the user, then fine, directly from client device. Then S3 bucket will serve it either through CDN, or if it is directly coming, S3 will accept it and send the related image or any other object. But when especially if your S3 bucket is enabled with static web hosting, and if you are using your S3 URLs in some other web pages, if the uh, requests are coming there, then request origin are not direct, they are indirect. Such type of origins are called as cross origins. So let me say, if you take AWS CloudFront documentation, let's CloudFront documentation. I'll go here, here. See, I have AWS Shield, AWS Web Application Firewall. Like this, there will be hyperlinks, right? If I click this, I will be taken to a new page where I can read about AWS Shield, which is managed DDoS protection. Now, I am not directly requesting for this. I am here at CloudFront. This is the actual URL. I am not requesting for Shield directly, Shield documentation. So aws.amazon .com/shield, something like that. I'm not sending like this. This is a direct request. Direct request going from client device. And this is cross origin request. So actual origin is not client. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay. See, whereas this is direct request from the client device, and this one, when I click here, it will go take me to that page, say WAF. This is cross origin request. Origin is coming from some other web page. If you are using S3 URLs in any of blogs or like in any other documentation or in any other articles, then you have to add those URLs here. Right, you know that your S3 content URL, S3 object URL, you have used in some article. You have a blogging website. So there you have used that. When people click that, they cannot reach S3. S3 throws an error. Why? Because it's not an direct request. It's coming from your blog's website. So what you have to do, you have to add those URLs here. You know from where you have given the S3 URL, right? So you have to create a cross origin resource sharing, add all those URLs here, from where that indirect traffic will be coming. So course cross origin resource share. So you have to specify those URLs. So if you take this example, AWS, Amazon dot CloudFront, say for example. So something like this. We know that. So in this web page, we have used the URL of this bucket. Then we have to add those URLs in cross origin resource share. I think we have not discussed this while talking about S3. Okay, done. And we have seen bucket policy. Now let's test CDN. I'll close all these things. Open new tab. Go to CloudFront. This is distribution domain name. Let us copy this. Put it here. And I'll look into my S3 objects once. There is aws.jpg. This is not my S3 URL. If you see, if I want to reach this image, this is the object URL. Here bucket name is there, etc. Right? And now we are using CDN. CDN domain name slash the object. So this is the object. And I also have one. I have enabled static web hosting for this. Static web hosting enabled. Let me copy this. See, forbidden access. Why? Because we have disabled it only when traffic comes from CDN. Then only it allows it. Otherwise, it's disabled. We have created OAI, Origin Access Identity, and also created assigned a bucket policy through CDN. So traffic from the internet cannot directly reach S3 now. Only traffic coming through CDN can reach S3. So what we'll do, we will go to objects. I have this Fonance HTML folder, and in this I have a HTML index.html. Anyhow, it will not work. Access denied. It's not public also. Public plus it's forbidden. Fonance HTML. Okay, in that index.html is there. Okay, see fonance.html, and then here index.html is there. So let's go here and give the path. See, only the path, the folder and the object name has to be appended to your CDN DNS. right? This is that index.html page. Yeah, and that's about CDN. And always delete CDN or CloudFront. It also uses endpoints to communicate with S3. Okay, endpoints are not there here. But in our S3 bucket policy, okay, this endpoint is for your CloudFront VPC endpoint. This is your CloudFront endpoint, not a S3 endpoint. Okay. Okay, that's about CloudFront. Any doubts in this one? Okay. That's about CloudFront, and then always delete this. First disable and then delete. After disable is done, you can get you will get this delete option. So disable status, but lost modified is still deploying. Once it's done, we'll get the delete option. Meanwhile, let's go to Route 53, and where you can find this Route 53 same under networking and content delivery. We know VPC, we know CloudFront. Now we will talk about Route 53. Why it's not coming? Okay. Right. So this Route 53 is a DNS service, AWS managed DNS service. And we are talking about servers, we are talking about web applications and S3 web, static web hosting, all these things, right? We can develop our web applications here on AWS. And now, how users can reach this? You cannot give your elastic load balancers to the user, DNS or name of your elastic load balancers, or DNS name of the S3 bucket directly to the user. Your business will have a name, or your company will have a name, or organization will have a name. With that name, what these organizations or businesses will do, they will register a domain name. Every business, every organization, every company will have a registered domain name, and they will ask users to reach their web pages and or services using that domain and URLs. Say for example 360digitmg.com, and we don't know the server identities or elastic load balancer names which are behind. So we just say www.360digitmg.com, amazon.com, myntra.com, flipkart.com. There will be so many services behind. There will be CDNs, there will be elastic load balancers, there will be servers IP addresses, but we don't actually use. Suppose CDN, how I have reached S3 bucket, I have used CDN URL. While talking about elastic load balancer, in that session we have used a load balancer URL directly uh, in our browser. But in real life scenarios, we cannot ask our customers to use our CDN domain names. So there should be some registered domain name. And all the services which we are using in our web applications, easy to service or S3 bucket, CDNs, should be attached with this domain name. And that's where that mapping, routing all happens. Users actually uses that registered domain name, and when request comes from that registered domain name, it has to be routed to related services. It can be S3, EC2 servers, or CloudFront distribution, anything. So Route 53 is one DNS service which provides that facility. So mapping um, the domain names with actual servers simply. We don't use IP addresses on the internet. We cannot ask our customers to use IP addresses to reach the web pages or web applications, or we cannot give CDN or elastic load balancer DNS names also. We should have a registered domain name, and how you can bring in that registered domain name to AWS using Route 53. And that's why the first thing you can see, DNS management. Here you can create hosted zone. This is where you can bring in your URLs. See, it's asking your domain name, example.com. If you have a registered domain name, you can put it here. If you don't have one, they are also giving an option of creating here itself. Domain registration. Register your domain here, public domain. But uh, here you can use create domain name here in AWS itself. So let's say Srija Cloud Tutorials .net. Say .com .net. So we will keep it as .com and check the whether this URL is there or not. Yes, it's available, but I have to pay $12 per year. It's a bit expensive here, but it's not mandatory that you should create domain name here itself. You can bring third party domain names also. You can register with GoDaddy, or there are many websites, Blue Host, GoDaddy, many things. Third party web registers are there. No, sorry, not web registers, DNS registrars. So you can register domain name, say domain registrars. So let us try with this domain register. Type your domain name into checker and find it instantly. Say dot in dot online dot com is only 602 rupees, but it depends upon the domain name too. Say dot com. Yes, it's available. I can purchase it. This is one way you can bring in. You can now you can bring in this registered domain name to AWS, or you can create in AWS. But see, AWS is offering these domain names for $12, whereas it's only some 600 rupees in other third party registrars. Or we have another option. Since we are using it for learning purpose, we can register a domain in AWS private zone, which we talk tomorrow. So create hosted zone. We can get a DNS name in private hosted zone. Right? This domain name will not be available for public internet. It will be available for AWS private hosted zone. So that means only AWS services, only AWS EC2 instances can use this domain name. It's not available for entire internet because it's not on public hosted zone. It's not a domain registered domain for public internet. We can have a registered domain name in private hosted zone of AWS. Okay, we will continue this in our tomorrow's session. Okay, then see you tomorrow. Bye bye.